Everyone, have you ever been in a situation where someone you care about ignores you? It could be a friend, a colleague, or even a loved one. That silence, that avoidance, it can be frustrating, confusing, and even painful. But instead of letting it bring you down, I want to share how you can handle it with confidence and self respect. First, remember that people ignore others for various reasons. It might not always be about you. They could be dealing with personal struggles, stress, or just needing space. Instead of jumping to conclusions, take a step back and assess the situation logically. Second, if you genuinely care about the person, communicate. A simple, honest conversation can clear misunderstandings. But if they repeatedly ignore you without explanation, respect yourself enough to step away. Third, don't beg for attention. Your value is not defined by someone else's response to you. Focus on your growth, happiness, and self improvement. The right people will always recognize and appreciate your worth. Lastly, use this situation as a lesson. Not everyone in your life is meant to stay. People who truly care will make an effort, and those who don't bail. They're making space for better people to come into your life. So, if someone ignores you, don't let it shake your confidence. Keep your head high, move forward, and surround yourself with those who genuinely respect and appreciate you. Understand that ignoring can happen for different reasons. One of the most important things to remember when someone ignores you is that their behavior might not always be about you. It's easy to take it personally and assume that you did something wrong. But in reality, people ignore others for various reasons. Sometimes a person may be dealing with personal struggle, stress, anxiety, or even depression that make them withdraw from social interactions. In such cases, their silence is more about their internal battles than about anything you did. They might need space to process their emotions, and pressuring them to respond could only make things worse. Other times, people become distant because of misunderstandings or unspoken grievances. Maybe they misinterpreted something you said, or they feel hurt but don't know how to express it. Instead of addressing the issue directly, they might choose avoidance as a defense mechanism. If you suspect this, it's crucial to reflect on recent interactions and consider whether there might have been a miscommunication. In certain situations, ignoring could also be intentional. Some individuals ignore others as a form of passive-aggressive behavior, manipulation, or even to assert control. This often happens in toxic relationships where one person tries to make the other feel uncertain or unworthy. If you recognize this pattern, it's important to establish boundaries and not allow yourself to be emotionally drained. Lastly, some people simply drift away over time due to changing priorities, busy schedules, or shifting interests. Life naturally moves people in different directions, and their lack of communication might not be a sign of dislike or disrespect. It could just be an indication that they are caught up in their own journey. Understanding these possibilities helps you react with patience and maturity rather than frustration or self-doubt. Instead of immediately assuming the worst, take a step back and consider the broader context of their behavior. Assess the situation logically. When someone ignores you, your first instinct might be to react emotionally, feeling hurt, frustrated, or even angry. However, before jumping to conclusions, it's essential to take a step back and assess the situation logically. Acting based on assumptions or emotions can make things worse and lead to misunderstandings that could have been avoided. Start by analyzing the context. Has this person been ignoring you for a short period, or has it been happening consistently? A one-time instance might just be due to a busy schedule, forgetfulness, or a simple oversight. On the other hand, if the pattern repeats itself over time, it might indicate a deeper issue that needs to be addressed. Think about recent interactions with them. Did anything happen that could have triggered this behavior? Sometimes people withdraw because they feel uncomfortable, hurt, or misunderstood. Reflect on your last few conversations. Was there a disagreement, a comment that might have been taken the wrong way, or any situation where they might have felt overlooked. If there was, they might be giving themselves time to process their emotions before responding. Also, consider external factors in their life. People have responsibilities, stress, and personal struggles that may affect how they interact with others. Maybe they are going through a difficult time at work, dealing with family issues, or facing mental or emotional challenges. In such cases, their distance has nothing to do with you, but rather with their need to focus on their own well being. It's also crucial to differentiate between temporary silence and deliberate avoidance. If someone is ignoring you because they need space, they will eventually reconnect when they feel ready. However, if they are consistently dismissing your presence, refusing to acknowledge you, or showing no interest in resolving issues, it may indicate a deeper disconnect in the relationship. Approaching the situation with logic rather than emotion helps prevent unnecessary misunderstandings. Instead of immediately feeling rejected or assuming the worst, take a moment to analyze what might be happening from a broader perspective. Communicate if it matters to you when someone ignores you. One of the most effective ways to address the situation is through direct and honest communication. However, before initiating a conversation, you need to ask yourself an important question. Does this relationship or interaction truly matter to you? If the person ignoring you is someone you deeply care about, a friend, family member, or significant other, then communication is essential. But if it's someone who does not play a meaningful role in your life, you might decide that addressing it isn't worth the emotional energy. If you choose to communicate, approach the conversation with a calm and open mindset. Avoid accusations or confrontational language like, "Why are you ignoring me?" or "What's your problem?" as this can put the other person on the defensive and make them even less willing to engage. Instead, express your feelings in a way that invites understanding. A good approach is to say something like, "I've noticed some distance between us and I just want to check in. Is everything okay?" This kind of statement keeps the conversation open-ended and non-confrontational, allowing the other person to share their thoughts without feeling attacked. It's also important to listen actively. Sometimes people ignore others because they feel unheard or unappreciated. If they do open up about why they've been distant, make sure to listen with patience and empathy. Avoid interrupting, getting defensive, or trying to justify yourself immediately. Instead, acknowledge their feelings and try to understand their perspective. Even if you don't agree, showing that you respect their emotions can go a long way in resolving tension. If the person continues to ignore you despite your efforts to communicate, it's crucial to recognize that the situation is no longer in your control. Communication is a two-way street. It requires effort from both parties. If they are unwilling to have an open conversation or consistently refuse to engage, then it may be a sign that they are not as invested in the relationship as you are. At that point, forcing communication is not the answer. Another factor to consider is timing. If the person is going through personal struggles, they may not be ready to talk right away. Instead of pressuring them, give them some space while letting them know you are available when they are ready. A simple message like, "I understand if you need time, but I'm here if you want to talk," can reassure them without making them feel obligated to respond immediately. Effective communication can clear misunderstandings, rebuild trust, and strengthen relationships. However, if someone refuses to engage despite your efforts, it's essential to respect their decision and focus on those who value open and honest dialogue. Respect yourself. When someone repeatedly ignores you, one of the most important things to remember is to respect yourself. It's natural to feel hurt, confused, or even frustrated when someone you care about stops responding, but how you handle the situation speaks volumes about your self-worth and confidence. Respecting yourself means recognizing your value and not allowing someone else's silence to make you feel insignificant. First, understand that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable. If someone chooses to ignore you without explanation, constantly making you feel unwanted or unimportant, it's not your job to keep chasing them for validation. Relationships, whether friendships, romantic connections, or professional interactions, should be built on mutual respect and effort. When only one person is putting in the effort while the other is indifferent, it creates an unhealthy dynamic that can be emotionally draining. It's also important to set boundaries. If someone continuously ignores you or plays mind games, take a step back and evaluate whether keeping them in your life is worth it. Allowing yourself to be treated as an afterthought can negatively affect your self-esteem. Instead of tolerating disrespect, remind yourself that you deserve relationships where you are valued, acknowledged, and appreciated. Setting a boundary can be as simple as deciding that you won't keep reaching out if your efforts are not reciprocated. Additionally, avoid self-blame. When someone ignores you, it's easy to start questioning yourself. Did I do something wrong? Am I not good enough? While self-reflection is important, don't automatically assume that their silence is your fault. People may ignore others for reasons unrelated to them, such as stress, personal struggles, or their own emotional immaturity. Internalizing their behavior as a reflection of your worth only leads to unnecessary self-doubt. Respecting yourself also means knowing when to walk away. If someone consistently makes you feel unwanted, don't waste your energy trying to convince them to care. Instead of seeking their approval, focus on surrounding yourself with people who appreciate and respect you. Walking away from those who ignore you is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It shows that you value yourself enough not to tolerate one-sided relationships. Furthermore, self-respect goes hand in hand with self-love. Engage in activities that make you happy, build your confidence, and reinforce your worth. Instead of waiting for someone's attention, invest in your personal growth, hobbies, and ambitions. When you respect yourself, you send a message to the world that you will not settle for less than you deserve. Don't beg for attention. One of the biggest mistakes you can make when someone ignores you is to chase after them, constantly seeking their validation. It's natural to want acknowledgement and connection, especially when you care about someone, but repeatedly trying to gain someone's attention when they have chosen to ignore you can be emotionally damaging. When you beg for attention, whether through excessive messaging, pleading, or trying to win their approval, you are indirectly telling them that your worth depends on their recognition. This puts you in a vulnerable position and gives them power over your emotions. If someone realizes that you will always chase after them no matter how they treat you, they may take you for granted or lose respect for you. Instead of seeing you as someone confident and self-assured, they may see you as desperate or emotionally dependent. It's also important to understand that if someone truly values you, they won't make you beg for their time or acknowledgement. Genuine relationships don't require constant efforts to force someone's presence in your life. The right people will naturally reciprocate your efforts and ensure that you don't feel ignored or unimportant. If someone makes you feel like you have to fight for their attention, it's a sign that they do not appreciate your presence in their life as much as they should. Another reason why you should never beg for attention is that it can lead to unhealthy emotional patterns. When you repeatedly seek validation from someone who ignores you, you may start to associate your happiness with their response. This can create anxiety and stress, making you overly dependent on their actions. Your self-esteem should not fluctuate based on how someone else chooses to treat you. Instead, your confidence should come from within, from knowing your worth regardless of how others behave. Additionally, constantly seeking attention from someone who is ignoring you can push them further away. If their silence is intentional, excessive pursuit may reinforce their decision to distance themselves. People tend to be more attracted to confidence and independence rather than neediness. By demonstrating that you are strong enough to walk away from those who do not value you, you maintain your dignity and self-respect. Instead of chasing after someone who ignores you, focus on yourself. Redirect your energy into things that bring you happiness and fulfillment, whether it's pursuing your passions, spending time with supportive people, or working on personal growth. When you shift your focus from trying to gain someone's attention to investing in yourself, you naturally attract people who appreciate and respect you. Respecting yourself means knowing when to step back and let go. If someone is ignoring you, the best response is often to give them space and allow things to unfold naturally. If they truly care, they will come back on their own. If they don't, then they were never meant to be a meaningful part of your life in the first place. Focus on self-improvement. When someone ignores you, it can be easy to dwell on the rejection, overanalyze their actions, and let negative emotions take over. However, instead of wasting energy on someone who isn't reciprocating your efforts, the best response is to shift your focus inward and invest in your personal growth. Self-improvement not only boosts your confidence, but also helps you build a fulfilling life where your happiness is not dependent on external validation. Work on your mental and emotional strength. Feeling ignored can stir up emotions like sadness, frustration, or self-doubt. But instead of letting these feelings consume you, use them as an opportunity to build resilience. Learn to regulate your emotions by practicing mindfulness, journaling your thoughts, or engaging in meditation. Developing emotional intelligence will help you handle difficult situations with maturity and grace. Remind yourself that your worth is not determined by someone else's recognition, it comes from within. Improve your skills and knowledge rather than obsessing over why someone is ignoring you. Redirect your energy toward learning something new. Whether it's improving your professional skills, picking up a new hobby, or enhancing your knowledge in a specific area, focusing on self-improvement keeps you engaged in meaningful activities. This could be anything from learning a new language, developing a creative skill like painting or writing, or expanding your expertise in your career field. The more you invest in yourself, the more confident and independent you become. Take care of your physical health, and mental well-being are deeply connected. When you focus on fitness, nutrition, and overall wellness, you naturally feel better about yourself. Start a workout routine, practice yoga, eat nourishing foods, or simply make time for outdoor activities. Taking care of your body not only enhances your self-esteem, but also provides a sense of accomplishment that no external validation can replace. Build stronger relationships with supportive people instead of chasing after someone who is ignoring you. Strengthen your connections with people who genuinely care. Spend quality time with friends and family who uplift and appreciate you. Engage in social activities where you can meet new like-minded individuals who respect and value your presence. When you surround yourself with positive and supportive people, you'll realize that you don't need to seek attention from those who choose to overlook you. Set and achieve personal goals. Nothing is more empowering than setting goals and accomplishing them. Use this time to focus on your ambitions and create a vision for your future. Whether it's advancing in your career, starting a passion project, or working toward financial independence, self-improvement gives you a sense of purpose. When you channel your energy into achieving something meaningful, you naturally develop confidence and independence, making you less affected by someone else's lack of attention. Develop a strong sense of self-worth. One of the most powerful aspects of self-improvement is learning to validate yourself rather than seeking validation from others. When you recognize your own value, you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to someone who is ignoring you. Confidence, self-respect, and inner happiness are cultivated from within, and once you develop them, no one's absence or silence can shake your sense of self-worth. Focusing on self-improvement not only helps you move forward, but also makes you a stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled person. When you shift your attention from external validation to personal growth, you become the kind of person who doesn't need to chase after anyone because you know your value and trust that the right people will appreciate you for who you are. Accept that you cannot control others. One of the hardest but most important lessons in life is accepting that you cannot control how others think, feel, or behave. When someone ignores you, it's natural to want to change the situation to make them notice you, explain their behavior, or even force a resolution. However, the truth is that people have the right to make their own choices, even if those choices seem unfair or hurtful. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to change someone else's actions, focus on what you can control: your own thoughts, reactions, and emotions. Recognize that people have their own reasons. It's easy to assume that when someone ignores you, they are being intentionally rude or disrespectful. However, people may have personal reasons for their behavior: stress, emotional struggles, or shifting priorities that have nothing to do with you. Understanding that their actions are shaped by their own experiences rather than being a reflection of your worth can help you detach emotionally from the situation. Avoid overanalyzing their silence. When someone stops responding, your mind may start overthinking, questioning every past conversation, searching for hidden meanings, or imagining worst case scenarios. While it's good to reflect on interactions, excessive overanalyzing can drain your mental energy and create unnecessary anxiety. Instead of obsessing over their behavior, remind yourself that their actions are their responsibility, not yours. Don't try to force a response. It's natural to want closure. But repeatedly reaching out to someone who is ignoring you can make you seem desperate or push them further away. If they are deliberately choosing silence, no amount of effort will make them engage unless they want to. Instead of chasing after an explanation, give them space and allow them to come back on their own if they choose to. Let go of the need for control. When you care about someone, it's tempting to try to influence how they treat you. However, true emotional maturity comes from understanding that you cannot make someone act a certain way. The only thing within your power is how you respond. By letting go of the need to control the situation, you free yourself from frustration and disappointment. Understand that not everyone will stay in your life. Some people are meant to be in your life for a short time rather than forever. Friendships and relationships naturally evolve, and sometimes people drift apart. Instead of clinging to someone who has chosen to distance themselves, focus on those who genuinely appreciate your presence. Accepting that some connections will fade allows you to move forward without resentment. Practice emotional detachment. Emotional detachment doesn't mean not caring, it means not letting someone else's behavior control your emotions. If someone ignores you, remind yourself that their actions do not define you. Practicing detachment allows you to respond with grace rather than frustration, making it easier to move on without unnecessary emotional pain. Shift your energy to what you can control. Instead of focusing on why someone is ignoring you, redirect your energy toward things that bring you fulfillment. Spend time on hobbies, personal growth, and meaningful relationships. By focusing on what you can control, you empower yourself rather than giving someone else the power to dictate your emotions. When you accept that you cannot control others, you liberate yourself from unnecessary stress and disappointment. You realize that your peace of mind should not depend on whether someone acknowledges you or not. By letting go of the need to control, you regain power over your own happiness and self-worth.